Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and second up in our 2-day tour of all of the songs that were revealed in this week's superest of Super Saturdays, might as well call it Superlative Saturday because it was the most super... No, okay, I'll stop. Anyway, second up to reveal their song was Serbia, who we've come to expect great things of, actually, in the 10 years they've been competing. Wait, is it 10? Does it count? Wait, no, yeah, 10, because they took a year off. Why can't I numbers this evening? Enough rambling, because this will get us nowhere. This year they're sending Tijana Bogićević and the song In Too Deep. Now, I believe Tijana was a backing vocalist in 2011, I want to say, for Nina and Charoban. I may be mistaken. I should look this up before I started this review. Anyway, her song this year is completely in English. I nearly said her song this week. It's not the weekly Eurovision Song Contest, it's this year. Rambling. Music and lyrics by Borislav Milanov, Joachim Bo Persson, Johan Alkenas, and Lisa Anne-Marie Linder. That's quite a team of people, so let's hope the song measures up accordingly. First impressions. Well, Serbia did release a short instrumental teaser of their song sometime last week or so, I don't remember, and that did seem to hold a lot of promise. When I heard the song for the first time in full, I admit I was taken aback by the key they'd chosen to write it in, since it sounds a lot happier, a lot more major than what I remembered from the teaser, but hey, I mean, it works in the grand scheme of things, I suppose. I've seen comments comparing this as a whole to Katy Perry's song Firework, but really, that only applies to, like, the first 3 or 4 notes of the refrain's principal melody. It's just her vocals for a tiny bit of the chorus, that's all. And if memory serves, plagiarism laws don't come into effect unless the copy is deliberate, direct, non-transformative, and or spans at least 8 notes in a sequence. I don't remember the specifics of the laws, I may be mistaken there, but anyway, I highly doubt this was even intended to start infringing on Katy Perry, so I don't see a plagiarism scandal arising from this. So, yeah, if anyone's going to have a plagiarism scandal this year, it's probably going to be Germany, because Sony Music filed a copyright thing against them, which was all flavours of fun, but we're not talking about them, we're talking about Serbia. So I don't see a copyright dispute emerging from this one, so what do I see in it then? Me babbling through this review at high speed and incomprehensibly, apparently. What do I like about this song, though? Well, aside from the one thing that I'll bring up again later in the review, I find the lyrics and their rhyme patterns to be extremely satisfying. I can't quite place why, though. It just sounds the right kind of poetic that not only matches the song's style and pace and texture, but also just plain sounds good by itself. The heart could be a fickle thing when it comes to quantifying art, I know. But far and away, this song's biggest asset is its style. Just by virtue of its genre and execution thereof, it's designed to impress and entertain and just leave an impression, and I can guarantee that because of that, it is going to fill the stage. That was a gesture. This is something I've spoken of in the past. If a song can fill the stage or the arena, that's a really good thing, because, I mean, this song, there's no way that the sheer scale of the stage could potentially swallow it up and make it seem smaller or insignificant. Tijana's going to make sure that people are sitting up and paying attention to this song. It's not going to get lost on the stage on which it's performed, which some songs can do. For that matter, the song does also lend itself very well to some interesting staging ideas, and that's whether or not you base it on what we've seen in the music video. There could be ideas stemming from that, you know, the 2 people doing the crazy dance, her in the spinning wheel thing. That was I can't do a gesture that reflects that, but she could have that, she could have something completely different. There are a lot of ideas that could be worked with here, and that's encouraging. We'll just have to see what they come up with. It's going to have to be dynamic and impressive though, but that's what the song calls for, so I don't doubt that that's what it's going to get in the end. And one smaller detail, at just before the 2-minute mark in the official video on Eurovision.tv, I don't know if that's where it is in the song, I don't actually remember if there's like some silence before the start of the video or whatever. I know certainly it has the theme art thing spiraling in at the beginning, just so you know, oh hey, this is a Eurovision song. But at that point in that version of the video, there's this really nice instrumental part, and it's delicious. It's Serbia's way of leaving their mark on the song to remind you that no, this isn't just any country's intense musical offering, it is Serbia's song, full of Serbian attitude, Serbian power, and with that, Serbian identity. It's going to be noticed, that much is sure. Nevertheless, all songs have their downsides, so let's take a brief look at what I think those might be for Serbia, depending on who you ask. Well, perhaps this is 100% just a personal complaint, maybe 50% personal because I've seen someone else who agrees with me on this, but in the refrain, she repeatedly rhymes deep with deep. Whether that was the intention or not, the line, I'm falling too deep, I'm in too deep, I'm falling too deep, that makes it sound more repetitive than it actually is, which in turn makes the whole song feel more repetitive than it is, and so it makes this particular line feel like a bigger weakness than it actually is. Also, there may be some level of disconnect between the hype generated for the song by either the community or the instrumental teaser, depending on when you listen to the song, and the full song itself. Someone might either hear the teaser and then expect a very different song based on that, or pick up on the hype that the community has generated for the song, and then expect the greatest thing since sliced bread, only for the song to fail to meet their expectations. Now, technically speaking, the fault there is on the part of the listener who has built up these false expectations and not the song itself, because, I mean, it's not the song's fault that you might go into it with false expectations, ultimately, but with songs that receive hype, that is always a risk factor. Of course, there's also the possibility that you might experience what's called hype aversion with this one. People repeatedly praising the song, so you end up either judging it particularly harshly in accordance, and while it might hold up to regular scrutiny, it might not hold up to intense scrutiny. Or people say, oh yeah, it's really great, and you listen to it and you think, no, it bloody isn't, and you just get like really defensive, like, why does everyone love this song? It's not that great. And I can speak from experience here. I feel that a lot of the time with Swedish entries. Like, a lot of the time people will say, oh, Sweden song is the best song ever, oh, why can't you like it? And I'm just like, no, it's kind of just okay. And people are like, no, it's the best thing, and it just gets really annoying. Some people might feel that with this song. I can sympathise. Now, do I feel that way about Sweden this year? Well, you just have to wait until Sweden's turn before I talk about that. This is Serbia's time to shine. So, let's smack some numbers onto this song then. My personal score for this one is a 10. Perhaps it's a little predictable, and perhaps it's a little base, but I'm happy to be blown away by this song in all honesty. Maybe I've just let my heart be a little bit too open to some of the songs this Super Saturday, but I do fully admit that this score would have been a bit closer to a 9, but the instrumental bit at around 2 minutes is what sold me on this song completely in the end. Of course, that instrumental section by itself wouldn't be worth a 10 by itself, but like, that in the wider context of the song is what makes it a 10 and not a 9 for me. It's a lively banger of a song that I have no qualms just jamming out to. Man, that may have been a rather old-fashioned way of wording that, but I mean, I like the song, it's good. And stepping back into the realms of sanity for a second, what is my technical rating out of 10 for this one? I would give it a 9. I think we have another instance of a song where it feels like it should be an 8 technically in my mind, but I can't think of any good reason to justify that. I've asked other people, I've actually done a bit of research into how people feel about this song, and people are really struggling to find criticisms beyond just, she says deep a bit too much. And that's really the only thing that I'm using here as an excuse not to give it a full 10, because it is rather prevalent and rather memorable as a factor. But overall, it is still a very good, very well executed, and very much engaging 3 minutes of music. Serbia tends to honour Eurovision with high-quality entries year after year, and this fits right in with that tradition. It may not be as traditional Serbian-flavoured necessarily as some of its predecessors, and some people may complain that it sold its soul to the English language. But if it's done as well as this, I think that's forgivable enough. Now, the trickiest part of the... I've noticed how I just grab my elbow at this point in every review, but... comparisons, right. This isn't going to be easy, but not for the same reasons as the other comparisons this season, funnily enough. What we have here are two vastly different songs with two vastly different purposes and ethoses. But ethoses? Is that the right plural? Different ethoses behind them. Goodbye Brackets Shelter was a cleverly constructed experience with an important and sadly ever relevant message about spousal abuse, delivered in a beautifully well-planned, well-constructed way, and it included quite a bit of traditional Serbian instrumentation in there as well, to make sure that nobody ever forgot which country's song it was. In Too Deep, on the other hand, isn't anywhere near as deep or meaningful. Isn't as deep, ironically. It doesn't have a message, necessarily. Its goal is just to entertain and impress for the duration of the performance. And if I'm honest, the instrumental break that I like so much does feel like a bit of an afterthought. So here's the compromise that I'll draw for this decision. I think In Too Deep is the better Eurovision song, but Sanya's song was the better overall technical package for raising awareness about a cause. When writing songs for Eurovision, it is good to have a story in mind, but in the grand scheme of things, working an active message into a song tends not to have that much of an impact in the field that it's trying to talk about. So, while Sanya's song was really, really good at what it did, and it's good that people are talking about, making spousal abuse less of a taboo subject and making people aware of it and aware that it can have such a profound effect, it could be potentially viewed as exploiting or trivializing the message, even though it wasn't. In the end, In Too Deep, even though its narrative is substantially more vacuous, it is more inclined to entertain, and usually at Eurovision, that's more likely to encourage votes. At least it does more than the strategy of making people think does. That kind of sucks, but that's what I found in my years of researching and reviewing. So, Goodbye Shelter, very important song and very well written and very good. I think In Too Deep will probably do better on the scoreboard, and that's what I'm basing this decision on, nothing more. Now, will Serbia be joining the lineup in the final? Honestly, probably. Like I said, this song's biggest strength is its propensity to entertain, engage, and impress. If it grabs your attention and holds it for the full 3 minutes, it's highly likely that you'll find something in there to latch onto and enjoy, and thus inspire you to vote for it. It's fun enough, and I think it has live staging in mind enough just to have that sort of effect. And it showcases her voice in just the right way that I think the juries might be inclined in this song's favour as well. If nothing else, it's marketable and potentially chartable, and that's what the Eurovision crowd tends to like, whether they realise it or not. If it misses the final, it'll be a bit of a shock. It isn't impossible, but not very likely. So, good luck, Serbia. You're packing heat as ever. I never say that as an expression. You've got a good song, as you tend to usually do, and we will just have to see how you fare when you get to Kiev. Good luck.